Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor for me to have the opportunity to join you today for this conference. My name is Julie Battilana. I'm a professor at Harvard University, where I teach and conduct research on the politics of change in organizations and in society. And I have a particular interest in studying the changes to the capitalist system. Without the ability to participate as equals in democratic systems, we do nothing short of renouncing our power. We surrender to the will of others who are more powerful than we are. So the bottom line is simple. We need to urgently reclaim our democratic power, both in society and in our workplaces. And so now I'm getting to another key dimension I want to discuss today. This belief in the importance of reclaiming our democratic power in society, as well as in organizations, has led me to launch new research studies on this critical topic. And it's also led me to take action both as a researcher and as a citizen over the past 2 years. So let me tell you a bit more about what I did. In April of 2020, Isabelle Ferreiras, Dominique Médin, and myself met to launch what would then become the Democratizing Work Global Initiative, which is now comprised of over 6,000 scholars and practitioners from around the world. At the time, we came together to brainstorm about how we might participate in the collective effort to change capitalism and to rebuild democratic power in organizations and in society through our research and our teaching activities. At the time, when we were each in lockdown in Belgium, France, and in the United States, we found ourselves asking, what were the key lessons that we could and should take away from the pandemic crisis? We agreed that if there was one lesson we had to learn from this pandemic, it was that everyone's contribution at work must be adequately recognized and that we had to preserve the planet. So we came to the conclusion that it was urgent to place humans and the planet back at the heart of our economic and social systems. Now, to do so, we came together around 3 core principles that could offer a compelling path forward to redesign our economic systems. First, democratize organization by giving workers the power to have a real say in the direction of their workplaces. Second, decommodify work by ensuring everyone's right to work and ensuring that this right is respected. And third, decarbonize the economy to help ensure a healthy environment for generations to come. In May 2020, we drafted an op-ed that called for the recognition of every worker's contributions and for a shift in our economic system. Knowing the global effects of the multidimensional crisis I talked about, we decided to reach out to colleagues from different regions, like from India to Turkey and Brazil to Italy and Germany. Initially, 9 women colleagues signed on and shared the op-ed more widely in their respective academic and scientific circles. And so the response was so great that 15 days later, when the op-ed came out, it had been signed by more than 3,000 researchers on 5 continents, and it appeared in 43 media outlets in 27 languages around the world. Since then, we've collaborated on a book that came out in France first in October 2020, Le Manifeste Travail, that was then adapted in English and published in May 2022 by the University of Chicago Press, entitled Democratize Work, The Case for Reorganizing the Economy. In the book, building on the research in sociology, economics, management, law, political science, and philosophy, we delve into the 3 key principles that I just mentioned. And we offer a roadmap for leveraging these principles to rethink and reform our economic and social systems. Now, what I'd like to do is briefly turn to each of the 3 key principles and share a little bit more about them and how they relate to the redesign of our economic system. Let's start with the first principle, democratizing workplaces. It is clear that workers want change, right? Shortly after the initial shock of the pandemic, workers around the world began quitting their jobs in record numbers in what has been termed the Great Resignation. Simultaneously, worker activism has been on the rise. For instance, the first 8 months of 2023 have seen over more than 300,000 workers in the United States engage in strikes. with 2/3 of Americans supportive of unions in 2023, according to the Gallup. Right? Workers are demanding a say and more control over their working lives. And this is where democratizing work is critical, as it gives workers both a voice and a vote in a company's key strategic decision. In each country, depending on local labor law, the mechanism that ensure such rights may vary. For instance, cooperatives have a long and rich history, certainly in Europe, but even in the United States with the worker-owned cooperatives, specifically giving workers a formal stake and vote in their organization's decision. Beyond the world of cooperatives, as you know, co-determination laws and other legally mandated board-level employee representation requirements, such as those in place in Germany, have ensured that workers have a voice on their company's boards and that they can participate in the key decisions, right? These represent useful alternative models to consider as we think about how to reform corporations. The key here is that we must enable employees to not only be represented on boards, but to have a real decision-making power when it comes to the future of their organizations and the future of their working conditions inside these organizations. And this requires workers and their representatives to have the ability to collectively validate or veto their company's strategic decisions. But that's not all, right? In the process, as we think about democratizing firm, we must not conceal the differences between workers by collapsing all workers into the same category. Instead, we must actively seek to redistribute power to employees who've been and continue to be locked out of decision-making in organizations because of their positions in gender, race, class, and other social hierarchies. This entails moving beyond one-off diversity trainings to shifting how and to whom resources flow in an organization. Now, I'd like to turn to decommodifying labor now. Decommodifying labor means recognizing that work is not a mere commodity, but that it is rather a right, right? It's in fact a right that's recognized, as you know, by the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Decommodifying work is about guaranteeing everyone who desires one access to a job that ensures their dignity and enables them to contribute to their community. We certainly face enough problems at the moment related to the multidimensional crisis I highlighted above to provide work for all those who are currently unemployed. Right? This argument is developed in our collective book, Democratized Work, by Pavlina Cherneva, whose work specializes in the theoretical and practical implications of a job guarantee. In Europe, in my home country, France, the government has spearheaded what they have termed the zero unemployment territories experiment, through which companies are created to hire unemployed people who desire to work based on the match between their skills and their community needs. Now, such experiments are really fertile ground for empirical research to evaluate how to successfully scale these programs. Now, in addition to democratizing the workplace and decommodifying work, we also need to decarbonize the economy. The third pillar necessitates an intervention, and this intervention has to be an intervention of many actors across society, from public authorities who must legislate robust environmental laws to individuals who must change their consumption habits, to companies that must also change, as we've already mentioned, their ways of operating. Some workers will need to migrate to greener sectors of the economy, and certain companies have to reduce or shift some of their production. Now, the effort required for this large-scale transition to a greener economy and society illustrate, in fact, how the three principles, democratize, decommodify, and decarbonize, must be implemented together, right? We cannot decarbonize without guaranteeing a right to work to those who will transition to greener industries. And hence, decommodifying helps ensure this transition occurs while safeguarding the dignity of workers. Now, in my own research, what I found is that organizations that adopt more democratic decision-making processes, in which managers, employees, shareholders, for instance, can debate and deliberate, these organizations seem better able to sustain the pursuit of multiple objectives. They seem better able to pursue not only financial, but also social and environmental goals all at once. And so that's what I see, is that democratizing it seems to be enabling more of the decarbonizing work that's needed. So we see how the three principles are interconnected. And in fact, in my research, I've identified 3 roles necessary for such collective efforts for change in organizations and in society to succeed. What are the 3 roles? First, the role of agitator. Agitators are the ones who speak out against the status quo and raise public awareness of the problem. Innovators are then the second role. They are the ones who develop alternative to the status quo by proposing concrete solutions, concrete alternatives to that status quo. And then finally, the third role is that of orchestrators. Orchestrators are the ones who set up those solutions by ensuring coordination and collaboration among the stakeholders, and they basically ensure the implementation of the changes at scale. Now, in closing, I'd like to urge you to reflect on the role or roles that you've played so far, and how you might help support others who enact different roles than yours. We each have a role to play, and this is an opportunity for all of us as scholars, practitioners, and citizens to contribute to the collective effort to create a more just, more democratic, and greener society. We miss this opportunity in the aftermath of the financial crisis. We cannot miss it again. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to have the opportunity to meet you in person soon. Have a wonderful conference. Thanks again. Take care. Bye.